Hey everyone! Welcome back to Potential WebCode. Today, I'm excited to take you on a tour of a stunning, fully responsive website built with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap 5. Whether you're new to web design or looking to level up your skills, this video is for you. So, let's dive in and see what this website can do. Here's the website we'll be building together. Right up here, we have the logo for our brand. It sits nicely in the Navbar, which sticks to the top of the screen as we scroll. And just next to the logo, we have our navigation bar with links to all the important sections: Home, Services, About, Portfolio, and FAQ. Now, check out this beautiful header. On the left, we have a bold, engaging title that really grabs attention, along with a short description and two call-to-action buttons. Discover more and get started. These are key for driving user interaction. And on the right, we've added a vibrant image that ties everything together. Scrolling down, you'll see the Clients section, showcasing logos from trusted brands. This section uses a simple layout to ensure the logos are clear and easy to spot. Next, we have the Services section. At the top, we have a clear, bold title. Below, there are 4 cards, each with an icon, a service title, and a short description. When we hover over each card, the background color changes to yellow. A nice little touch to make the section interactive. Also, if we scroll up and click Services in the navbar, the page smoothly jumps back down to this section. Moving on to the About section. Here, we've got a 2-column layout. On the left, there's an image that adds a visual story to our content. On the right, we've included a strong title, a brief description of the company's journey, and 3 cards showing statistics about our achievements. There's also a button that invites users to learn more. Next up, we've got the Portfolio section. There's a title, followed by 3 portfolio cards. Notice the green background that really helps this part stand out. Each one showcases an image with a short description beneath, neatly presented in a transparent background overlay. When hover on the showcase, we can see there is some zoom effect on it. This makes the showcase more highlighted. Then we have the FAQ section. It starts with a bold title, followed by several accordion-style drop-downs. When you click each question, it expands to reveal the answer. This clean and interactive layout ensures users can find the information they need without clutter. Lastly, at the bottom of the page, we have the footer. It's simple but effective, providing essential copyright information. This website is fully responsive, meaning it adapts seamlessly to any device, whether you're viewing it on a desktop, tablet, or mobile phone. As we start to shrink the screen, notice how the layout begins to adjust. The navbar transforms into this hamburger icon up here, making it easy for users to navigate without taking up too much space. When clicked, it expands into a collapsible menu. Below the navbar, the sections stack vertically. The images, text, and buttons all adjust to fit neatly into the mobile screen, without losing any of the original styling or functionality. This makes it easy for users to scroll through the content on a small screen. These responsive design techniques ensure your site looks great and works perfectly, no matter where it's viewed. This project is amazing, right? Next, I'll show you how to build this site from scratch using Bootstrap 5. So, stay tuned and hit the subscribe button before we start. Now, let's start build our wonderful website. Here, I'll be using Visual Studio Code as my co-editor, but feel free to use any editor you're comfortable with. Here's the structure of our project. We have an image folder for all the media assets, an HTML file for our content, and a CSS file for the styles. Let's start by opening the HTML file. We'll begin by calling the basic structure of the HTML document. As you can see, this gives us the basic foundation of the HTML document. Let's change the title to something more fitting. Next, we need to add Bootstrap to our project. Let's head over to the official Bootstrap 5 website to get the necessary links. Here, we have the CSS link for Bootstrap. Let's copy this link and add it to our HTML file. Now that we've added the CSS, let's go back to Bootstrap's website and grab the JavaScript link. Let's paste it just before the closing body tag. Bootstrap also offers a library of icons that we can use in our design. Let's go to the Bootstrap icons website to grab the CDN link. This will allow us to easily use any Bootstrap icons throughout our project. Now let's customize our typography by adding some Google fonts. First, head over to fonts.google.com. This site offers thousands of free fonts, and we can even see how they'll look before we use them. Let's start by searching for Laura and add this font by click Get Font. Next, let's search for Noto Sans for the body text. Just like before, we'll get this font. Now, with both fonts selected, click on the View Selected Families tab at the bottom right. Google Fonts generates the links and CSS code that we need to include in our project. For this project, we'll use the link greater than tag approach. Now, go back to your HTML file and paste the Google Fonts link we copy. Now that we've linked our fonts, let's move on to setting up the basic styles for our page. The first thing we need to do is define how our fonts will be applied to the different elements across the website. This is where CSS comes in. Let's start by styling the body of the page. The body tag represents the entire content area of the website, and setting a default font here ensures that all of the regular text on our site uses the Noto Sans font. Next, we'll apply the Laura font to all our headings, specifically the H1 and H2 tags. This gives our titles more elegant, serif style, which makes them stand out from the rest of the text on the page. Let's now link our CSS file to the HTML. We do this by adding a link tag inside the head section of the HTML. To make sure it's all working, we'll add a quick test by typing test in the body tag, then open the file in our browser to check if everything displays correctly. Now, we are done for setting the basic configuration. Let's continue with the amazing part now. Begin by understanding the structure of our website. We will build our code in the following order, starting with the navbar, moving to the header section, then the client logos, followed by services, about section, portfolio, FAQ, and finally, the footer. This step-by-step structure will help us organize the website effectively. Let's dive into the code for the navbar first. We start by initializes the navbar. Add navbar expand SM. So, the navbar will collapse on smaller screens and expand on larger screens. Navbar dark, to applies a dark theme with light-colored text. Then, BG dark, to a dark background for the navbar. And we keep the navbar at the top of the viewport even when the user scrolls by using fixed top. Next, we add container fluid, to wrap the navbar content inside a container that takes up the full width of the viewport. Then, we define our brand logo, which will appear on the left side of the navbar. Next, we add a Navbar toggler, which is responsible for the hamburger menu. When the viewport shrinks, this button will toggle the visibility of the navigation links. The database target connects the button to the Navbar nav div that we will add after this, where the links will collapse and expand. We also add the Bootstrap icon that represent the burger menu. The actual menu items are inside this collapse class, wrapped in Navbar collapse, which makes sure the navigation menu collapses on small screens. We use Milestones to align the navigation links to the right side of the navbar. Inside it, we use an unordered list with Bootstrap's and a vitem class to create each individual link, like Home, Services, About, Portfolio, and FAQ. Now, let's see what this looks like in the browser. Here's our dark-themed navbar with links aligned on the right. This is already fully responsive. Let's shrink the viewport to mobile size, and you can see the menu transforms into a hamburger icon. Once we click the icon, the menu expands. Let's make the logo more visually engaging. In our CSS file, we've set the Navbar brand class to use the Laura font. It gives more elegant feel to our logo in the Navbar. Now, in the browser, we can see that the logo has a more sophisticated appearance with the Laura font applied. Next up is the header section. This section has two parts. On the left, we have a title, description, and buttons, while on the right, we have an image. Let's go through the code step by step. We start with the header element. The BG primary class gives it a blue background. The dflex class is used for a flexbox layout, aligning content both vertically and horizontally. Text white makes the text white. And then we add padding top and margin top. Next, we add container fluid class inside this header element. We also add row class, that inside it we will split the view to two sides. We are dividing the row into two columns. The first column is 5/12 of the width. We add highlight of our website by put the title in header. We set the class to header title. Let's see this title look like on our browser. Here, the title already appears on the left side of header. Next, we add a paragraph describing our mission. Now, the paragraph shows in our browser. Next, we add container to holds the buttons and spaces them out with gaps. Inside this container, we will add two buttons with class yellow and green. We will styling these to classes later. Let's see these buttons on the browser. We can see the two buttons appear inline below the paragraph. Next, we will add second column of header, which is 7/12 of the width. This part will contains the header image. Here we can see our header image fit well on the right side of header. Now, let's style the header title to make it more engaging. In the CSS, we set the font size to 48 pixel and sets the weight of the title to bold for better readability. Let's see the changes in the browser. The title now stands out, making it the focal point of our header. Next, we will style the buttons in our header. We already applied the yellow and green classes to them in the HTML. Let's see what those styles do. We set the yellow button to bright yellow background and dark text color. And the green button has a teal background with white text. Now, when we check the browser, the buttons look more vibrant and match the overall design of our site. This header is fully responsive. Let's see how the header responds to different screen sizes. When the viewport shrinks, the image stacks underneath the text, keeping the content easy to read on smaller devices. Now that we've completed the header, let's move on to the client section. This section is used to display logos of the clients or partners we work with. It gives the site credibility and shows off the brands we've worked with. Here, we add a new section with the ID is clients. We add class with BG Light. It gives a light background, and PY5 adds vertical padding to the section. Next, we add container class. Inside the container, we create a flexible container that wraps the logos if the viewport shrinks. Justify Content Center aligns the logos to the center, and gap to add space between the logos. Next, we add client logo. Each client logo is an image with the class client send, which we'll style shortly. We will add 5 different client logos for this section. Now, let's see how it looks in the browser. You can see the client logos are neatly arranged in the center of the page. Now, let's go to CSS file and add some styling to our section part. We add scroll margin to our section. The scrolling will quickly adjust and stop at a specified distance between the snap position and the container. Next, let's continue styling the client image. We set the object fit to contain to ensure the images maintain their aspect ratio without being distorted. we set the width of each logo to 1:px and add some padding to space them out. Let's check the browser again. The logos now look uniform and are spaced evenly, creating a professional client section that adapts well to different screen sizes. Next, let's move on to the Services section. This section highlights the key services your company offers. We'll use cards to visually represent each service, along with icons for a clean and engaging design. We start with the section Element and give it the ID Services. The PY5 class adds vertical padding. Next, we add Container class inside the section. Then, we add heading to introduces the section, and center text using text center inside the class. Let's see this heading look like on the browser. Next, let's add route class that will contain our service escort. Each service is represented by a card inside a column. So, we define the width of each card. On large screens, each card will take up 1/4 of the row, that is call LG3, and on smaller screens, they will take up half of the row using call SM6. And we also add horizontal margin. Next, we add the class card service, which applies a custom background and text color to our cards. Then, we add card body class that will contain an icon, a title, and a description. We add display 5 to make the icon more bigger. Next, we add title for the car, with add margin top. And we also add short description for the service card. Now, let's see the Services section in the browser. The service card looks stunning with yellow background, following with the icon, title and description. Let's add more service cards, so let's go back to HTML file. Let's just copy the card part and paste it. Then, let's change the icon, the title, and the text description. Now, let's see our second service card in the browser. We can see the second card appear next to the first card. Next, let's add the third section card. We will paste the same code like the second card. We change the icons, the title of the card, and the description. We can see the third card perfectly fit on our browser. Next, let's add our last service card. Let's copy and paste the previous code. We change the icons to represent the fourth service card. Then, we also set the title for the card and the text description. The fourth card make our service section card completely amazing. Now, let's style the service cards to enhance their appearance. We start by styling the title. We set the font weight to bold to give the heading a strong visual presence, ensuring it grabs the viewer's attention. The margin bottom, 3%, add space beneath the heading, separating it from the content below. We can see the title section has more engaging view on the browser. Next, let's style the card. We make sure the card do not have border. So, we set the border to none. Now, each card on the service section do not have the border. To make it more engaging, we add zoom effect when user hover on the card by adding transform scale and transition on it. we can see when we hover on the card, there is some zoom effect that make it more sophisticated. Next, we continue to styling the card service. We set the background to a dark color and set the text to white. We also set the cursor to pointer. Let's refresh the browser. We can see the service card background currently changed to dark. To add some interactivity, we add some hover effect. We change the card's background color to yellow and text to dark color, it giving a subtle but effective hover effect. Now, as we hover over each card, you can see the color changes, giving the section a modern, interactive feel. For final touch of our service section, let's add some styling for the card title. We set the font size to 1.8px to ensure the titles are large enough to be easily readable, while the font weight, bold, to gives them a strong, eye-catching appearance that aligns with the overall aesthetic of the service cards. Now, we see our services section is perfectly amazing. What do you think so far? Next, let's look at the About section. This section tells the story and highlights key achievements. We start with a new section, using the ID About, and again we apply padding with py5. Next, we add container class inside the About section. Then, we add row class with align item center. The content is then divided into two columns using Bootstrap's grid system. We have two div greater than elements inside a row, each taking up 50% of the available width on medium-sized screens and above. The first column will contain the image. We use ImgFluid class to make sure the image remains responsive. Let's see our image look like on the browser. The image perfectly fit on the left side of About section. Next, we add another column to our About section. We add p4 to give some padding to the column. So inside this column, we start by adding the heading title. Here on the browser, the title fit well on the right side of About section. Next, we add some description below the title. Then, we'll add the milestone cards under the text content. These cards will showcase some important numbers that build trust with the audience. We start by add row class. Inside it, we add card class following with vertical padding and yellow background. Each card will contain the number and the description. Let's see the first milestone card look like on the browser. The card perfectly fit below the text. Next, let's add the second and the third milestone card. We just copy the previous code, and let's change the number and the description that represent of each cards. Let's take a look at how this looks in the browser. The three cards look awesome in About section. Lastly, to make our About section more stunning, let's add button below the cards. So, we add button with adding BT and narc in class to ensure the button background is dark. When we can see on the browser, the button already appear below the cards. Now, our About section is completely done and amazing.